You ever get the feeling that the internet's like this massive unexplored jungle with all sorts of strange things hiding just out of sight?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of what makes it so fascinating, right? You never know what you're going to stumble upon.
Right, like the stuff we're looking at today. Seriously, you guys sent in some wild stuff for this deep dive. Digital mysteries, creepy websites, enough to make your head spin.
It's like a digital cabinet of curiosities, except way creepier.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're diving into 3 of these internet enigmas. First up, we've got Sad Satan, this horror game that's shrouded in controversy and just unsettling, to say the least.
Then we'll try to unravel the mystery of Lake City Quiet Pills, a website with suspected ties to real-world assassinations, like actually killing people.
Heavy stuff. And last, we'll tackle the bizarre YouTube channel Unfavorable Semicircle, which bombarded the internet with thousands of these really strange, cryptic videos.
Each one is like a puzzle, a challenge to figure out what's real, what's fake, and what it all means.
Okay, so let's start with Sad Satan. Even without all the disturbing content that we'll get to, the game itself is just creepy. Imagine walking through these dark hallways, no idea where you're going, and all you hear are these messed up sounds. Reversed music, distorted screams, and even snippets of serial killer interviews.
And you have no goal, no objective, just wandering through this nightmare. It's the lack of direction that really gets to you.
Totally. But then there's this other version of the game, the one that surfaced on 4chan. And that's when things get really disturbing. I mean, we're talking extreme gore, mutilated bodies, and even reports of child pornography embedded in the game.
Yeah, that's where it crosses the line from creepy to truly horrifying. And then some people who downloaded it said it had malware that messed up their computers.
Oh, great, a virus to go with the disturbing imagery.
The guy who originally showcased the game on his YouTube channel, Obscure Horror Corner, claimed he found it on the dark web, but a lot of people are skeptical, like his story doesn't quite add up.
Yeah, and think about it, if this game was really circulating on the dark web, wouldn't there be more copies? More people talking about it?
Exactly. It's like this super rare, super disturbing game that only this one guy supposedly found, and he claims he doesn't even have the files anymore. So, was he telling the truth, or was this whole thing a hoax?
I gotta say, it seems kind of fishy. But even if the most extreme version was a hoax or some elaborate prank, the original gameplay footage still exists. Where did that come from?
Good question. It's possible that the creator intentionally destroyed the game files after releasing that footage, or maybe it's out there somewhere, hidden in some dark corner of the internet.
Maybe it's better that way.
Yeah.
But that still leaves us with this creepy game and no real explanation for what it means. What are some of the theories people have come up with?
Well, there are a lot of theories, and they're almost as unsettling as the game itself. Some people think it's a commentary on child abuse, pointing to those recurring images of Jimmy Savile, that British TV guy who was later revealed to be a serial child abuser.
Ugh, that's awful. I remember that whole scandal.
Yeah, it was horrible. Others interpret the game as some kind of satanic or occult ritual because of the Latin phrases and distorted religious symbols scattered throughout.
Right, and the name itself, Sad Satan, is pretty disturbing. Didn't it come from that whole Stairway to Heaven thing?
Yeah, supposedly the name is derived from reversed audio in that Led Zeppelin song, which some people already believe has hidden satanic messages.
It's like this whole other layer of creepiness.
Exactly. Like, are we supposed to be looking for clues in the game, or is it just meant to disturb and unsettle?
That's the thing about these internet mysteries. They make you question everything, like, is this real? Is it fake? What am I even looking at?
And that's part of the appeal, right? The mystery, the unknown. It draws you in.
It definitely does. But it's also important to remember that some of these things can be genuinely disturbing and potentially harmful.
Absolutely. We should never glorify or downplay the dark side of the internet.
Agreed. Okay, so Sad Satan is still a mystery, but it's fascinating how it's captured people's imaginations. Some people have even gone so far as to create clean versions of the game, removing the illegal and most disturbing content.
Which honestly raises a whole other set of questions, like, is it ethical to play even a clean version of a game with such a dark history?
Yeah, good point. It's like, where do you draw the line between art and responsibility?
Yeah.
Can you separate the creator's intent from the work itself? It's a tough one.
It is. And it makes you wonder, if you play a clean version, are you still contributing to the notoriety of the original game? Are you giving it more power?
It's complicated. But for now, let's move on to something a bit more grounded in the real world, although it's still plenty creepy. We're talking about Lake City Quiet Pills, a website that may have been a front for a network of assassins.
This is one of those cases where the internet seems to bleed into real life with potentially deadly consequences.
Yeah, and it all starts with this guy named Milo, a controversial Reddit user who claimed to be an 80-year-old war veteran.
Milo was already a bit of a mystery, even before the website appeared. People questioned his age, his background, everything. He was known for moderating some pretty edgy subreddits, places where the rules of polite society didn't really apply.
Right, so there was already this air of mystery surrounding him. And then he launches this website called Lake City Quiet Pills.
Yeah.
Just the name itself is kind of ominous.
Yeah, it's definitely not your typical website name. At first glance, it seemed harmless enough, like a simple image hosting site. But then people started digging into the source code, and that's where things got really interesting.
That's where they found those cryptic job postings, right?
Yep. These weren't your everyday job ads. We're talking about postings with military jargon, referencing things like covert operations and specialized skills.
I remember reading about those. Like, one of them said something like, immediate need 12 ESS, Spanish-speaking, no papers required. What does that even mean?
Well, that's the thing. It's all very coded language. ESS is believed to stand for Electronic Security Systems. So they were looking for people with surveillance skills.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. But still, no papers required. That doesn't sound very legitimate.
Right. It gets even weirder. Another posting said something like 4 for 247 DP, English speakers, Spanish fluency a plus.
DP likely stands for close protection, basically bodyguards. So someone was recruiting for a team of security specialists, potentially for something illegal, and they were using this website to do it.
Exactly. And then there's the use of the term WW, which a lot of people interpreted as wet work, a euphemism for assassination.
Wow, so this wasn't just some online game. This website might have been connected to real-world violence.
Potentially. And then there's this chilling coincidence. The assassination of Mahmoud al-Mabhouh, a Hamas arms dealer, in Dubai in 2010. It happened to occur around the same time as a party that was mentioned in the Lake City Quiet Pills source code.
Hold on, they actually talked about a party in the code.
Yeah, and not just mention it, they had a whole breakdown of expenses for it, totaling almost $94,000. Things like disposables and travel. The timing, the location, the specific items listed it, all seem to line up with the Dubai assassination.
It's like they weren't even trying to hide it. Or maybe they just thought no one would ever find it.
That's possible. And then, shortly after Milo's last post on Reddit, a user named 26 popped up and announced his death.
26, wait, wasn't that the same username connected to the Lake City Quiet Pills domain?
Yep, the same one. He also went by Angel26 on various online forums. Investigators traced his email address, angel.2.6@lakecityquietpills.com, to posts discussing weapons technology and surveillance techniques.
So it seems like Lake City Quiet Pills was more than just a website. It might have been a hub for a whole network of people involved in some pretty serious, potentially illegal activities.
That's the working theory, at least. And then, to make things even more mysterious, the website suddenly stopped updating in 2010, shortly after the Dubai assassination and Milo's supposed death.
And eventually, the site vanished completely. Poof, gone.
Just another internet mystery, lost to the digital void.
Yeah, but this one feels different. This one might have had real-world consequences, you know? It's kind of unsettling to think about.
It is. It's a reminder that what happens online doesn't always stay online.
All right, so we've gone from a creepy game to a possible network of assassins. What do you say we dive into something even stranger?
You talking about Unfavorable Semicircle? I'm ready when you are.
Okay, strap in, because this one's going to get weird. Okay, so from a possible network of assassins, we're switching gears now to something completely different. A digital mystery that's almost the opposite. Thousands of seemingly meaningless videos. We're talking about the Unfavorable Semicircle YouTube channel.
It just appeared out of nowhere, right? And then vanished just as quickly.
Yeah, it's like it blinked into existence, dumped a mountain of cryptic content, and then blinked out again.
Leaving a whole bunch of people scratching their heads, trying to figure out what it all meant.
And what's really crazy is the sheer volume of content. We're talking tens of thousands of videos uploaded in less than a year.
It's mind-boggling, right? Like, who has the time to create that much content, let alone content that's intentionally weird and cryptic?
Yeah, and these weren't your typical YouTube videos. No cute cats or makeup tutorials here. These were short, often low-resolution clips filled with pixelated images, abstract patterns, distorted audio, and random sequences of letters and numbers.
Yeah.
It's like someone took every strange thought or half-formed dream they ever had and turned it into a YouTube video.
I've seen some of them. It's hard to even describe. It's like Digital abstract art, but with a creepy vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it art? Is it a code? Is it some kind of social experiment? No one seems to know for sure.
It's one of the big questions surrounding Unfavorable Semicircle. What was the purpose? The videos themselves don't offer many clues.
Well, some people have some pretty wild theories. Some think it was a modern-day number station broadcasting coded messages to spies around the world. You know, like those shortwave radio stations that used to broadcast during the Cold War.
I've heard that one. It's definitely intriguing. Others think it was part of an alternate reality game with hidden clues embedded in the videos, just waiting for someone to decipher them.
Oh yeah, those ARG things can get pretty intense. Like people get really invested in trying to solve the puzzles and figure out the story.
They can be pretty elaborate. And then there's the theory that it was just a test channel used by Google or YouTube to experiment with video compression or something like that.
Honestly, that one always seemed a bit too boring to me. Like if it was just a test, why go through all the trouble of creating such weird and unsettling content?
Yeah, I'm not buying that one either. It just seems too deliberate, too intentional to be a simple technical test.
Exactly. There's something more to it than that. There has to be.
Well, one thing that really caught people's attention were the lock and delock videos.
Right. Those were strange. And they often had that Sagittarius zodiac symbol, didn't they? What was that all about?
No one knows for sure, but these videos seem to be more structured, more deliberate than the others. Like they were trying to convey a specific message.
And there's that whole thing with the Voyager Golden Record, right? That was weird.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. People started analyzing individual frames from those lock and delock videos, and they were able to piece together a grainy image that looked a lot like the Voyager Golden Record.
The Voyager Golden Record?
Did it?
You mean that gold-plated copper disc that NASA sent into space?
Yeah.
The one with all the sounds and images of Earth?
Yep, that's the one.
So was that just a random coincidence? Or was it a deliberate reference, like a clue to something bigger?
That's the big question, isn't it? Was it a message about humanity's place in the universe? A warning about the dangers of technology? Or was it just a random, meaningless detail thrown in for good measure?
My gut tells me it was intentional. It's just too specific to be a coincidence, you know?
I agree. But if it was intentional, what was the message? Who were they trying to reach?
Yeah, that's the mystery, isn't it? Unfortunately, we may never get those answers. In 2016, YouTube permanently banned the Unfavorable Semicircle channel for violating their terms of service.
Yeah, that was the end of the line for the original channel. They never said exactly why it was banned, but a lot of people think it was just because of the sheer volume of uploads.
I mean, it's not every day that you see a channel upload tens of thousands of videos in such a short period of time. I can see how that would raise some flags.
For sure, it's like they were trying to break the internet with weirdness. But the story doesn't end there. After the YouTube ban, similar accounts popped up on Google Plus and Twitter, posting more of those cryptic videos.
It's like whoever was behind it was determined to keep the mystery going, even after being shut down.
Like they were playing a game with the internet.
Exactly. A very strange and unsettling game. And then there was that final video, the one titled Reset.
Ah, yes, Reset. That was a strange one, even by Unfavorable Semicircle standards. It was like a greatest hits compilation, but all sped up and layered on top of each other. It was almost overwhelming.
Some people thought it was a sign that the game, or whatever Unfavorable Semicircle was over. Others saw it as a new beginning, a hint that there were more clues out there.
The thing is, we'll probably never know for sure. Was it art? A hoax? A secret communication channel? Or something else entirely? Unfavorable Semicircle remains a mystery, a digital enigma that continues to fascinate and confuse people to this day.
Yeah, it's definitely one for the books. Okay, so we've explored the dark side of gaming and the potential for real-world violence lurking online. What do you say we take a trip back to the early days of the internet, back to a time when things were a lot more mysterious?
Oh, you're talking about Mortis.com? Now that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, Mortis.com. It's a website that really embodies the Wild West nature of the early internet. Even the name itself is creepy. Mortis, meaning death in Latin. Not exactly subtle.
No, it wasn't, and the site itself was incredibly basic. Just a black web page with a simple login prompt, no instructions, no links, no nothing. Just this blank digital door with no key.
But here's the thing. It was hosting terabytes of data. Now remember, this was the late 1990s, when most people were still using dial-up connections. Terabytes of data was almost unheard of back then.
Yeah, it was massive. Like, what could they possibly be storing on there? It definitely fueled a lot of speculation.
And the website itself, gave absolutely no clues, no hints about its purpose, no information about who was behind it, just this ominous name and a wall of digital silence. It's enough to make anyone curious.
Especially back then, when the internet was still this new frontier. It was like stumbling upon a locked vault in the middle of nowhere. You know there's something inside, but you have no idea what it is or how to get to it.
And people tried, believe me. There were tons of people trying to crack the login and figure out what was hidden on that site. It's like an online ghost story, right? All these rumors and whispers, but no one ever comes forward with any proof.
Yeah, exactly. It's the mystery that keeps people coming back. And to make things even more strange, Mortis.com was completely absent from the Wayback Machine.
Oh, Wayback Machine.
It's a digital archive that preserves snapshots of websites over time. So you can go back and see what a website looked like, years ago, even if it's no longer active.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've used that before. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's like a time machine for the internet. But Mortis.com, nowhere to be found.
Huh. That is weird. Like someone intentionally scrubbed it from existence.
That's what it seems like. Makes you wonder why, right?
It does. Like, what were they trying to hide?
Yeah.
And then there's this whole other layer to the mystery. The domain was registered to this guy, who was also linked to several other strange websites. Satulu.net, eternalnight.com. Just these cryptic names.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
Just as bare bones as Mortis.com. Minimal design, no real information, just strange name and maybe a single image or a few lines of text.
Maybe that was the whole point. Like they were more like digital art installations than actual websites.
It's possible. Designed to evoke a feeling rather than, convey information. But then it gets even more complicated. Investigators found connections between this domain registrar and a whole bunch of seemingly unrelated businesses.
Like what?
A dentist's office at an empty lot, a high-end security firm, a lamp company, a bed and breakfast.
That's a bizarre mix. It's like they were trying to create this tangled web of connections, maybe to make it harder to trace back to the real owner.
That's a common tactic used by people trying to hide their online activities, especially if those activities are illegal.
So what are we supposed to believe? Was Mortis.com just some guy's personal storage space, like the domain registrar claimed? Or was it something more sinister?
Well, the domain registrar insisted it was just for, personal files, wedding photos, family documents.
Really? Family photos on a site called Mortis.com with terabytes of data.
I know, right? It's a pretty hard sell.
Yeah, no kidding. And then there's those rumors about the FBI getting involved.
Oh, yeah, I've heard those too. Supposedly, the FBI contacted some of the people who were trying to hack into Mortis.com and warned them to stop. Like, there was something on that site that they didn't want anyone to see.
That's crazy. I mean, if that's true, it definitely makes you wonder what was really going on there.
It does. But like most of these internet mysteries, we'll probably never know for sure. Mortis.com just vanished one day. No explanation, no warning.
Gone without a trace. Just another unsolved puzzle in the vast digital wasteland.
In a way, these three cases, Sad Satan, Lake City Quiet Pills, and Mortis.com, they all kind of represent different aspects of the internet's dark side, don't they? The unsettling, the potentially dangerous, and the just plain mysterious.
That's a good point. They're like different flavors of digital weirdness, but they also show us how easy it is for things to get lost, to disappear online, and how sometimes the more we dig, the less we understand.
It's true, and I think that's part of what makes these stories so fascinating. They remind us that the internet is still a wild and unpredictable place.
A place where truth and fiction blur and mysteries may never be solved. So to everyone listening out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep into those digital rabbit holes.
But be careful out there. You never know what you might find lurking in the shadows of the internet.
Until next time, stay curious.